Beautiful people. Ooh. Hello, beautiful people. I am excited to be back to a fabulous Friday with the Red Lip Alchemy. Okay, so let's start with our podcast description. Welcome to Goddess Glow, the Red Lip Alchemy Chronicles, a sacred space where Black femmes, as African descended creatives, come together to connect, converse, and radiate brilliance. This podcast honors the divine power within us, weaving African diasporic practices, indigenous traditions, ancestral veneration, and restorative rituals into a tapestry of personal and communal alchemy. Through bold storytelling, spiritual exploration, and collective wisdom, we celebrate the red lip as a symbol of rebellion, beauty, and sacred sisterhood. Join us on this journey to celebrate our power, honor our ancestors, and glow unapologetically. Black heart, stars, red lip kisses. Yes. Yay. It's so good to see you guys. Can I just say, this is like week 3 in terms of like chronologically how we're doing this. We will let the ancestors guide us in terms of what orders things go up in. But I'm like looking forward to this on Fridays. I'm like, yay, I'm gonna connect with my sisters, like the biological sister and the others, the sister that's a spiritual sister as well. So this has been really good. So do we want to do like a debrief or check-in to start us off before we get into the text? Okay, who would like to jump us off for debriefs or checking in?
I'll start off. So I am reporting live from my bed today
Yeah, you are. And I love that for you.
because I worked overnight last night. Hey.
A little juicy side. Keep going, juicy.
That ain't really what's happening. It's the sleepy side. Where's the sleepy emojis at? But I worked overnight last night and I work overnight tonight, so I've gotten about 4 hours of sleep. But I have therapy at 1 on Fridays, and so I wanted to honor that commitment. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna be up for therapy, so I might as well stay up and glow with my goddesses. And then I can still take a nap after this before my shift so that I can be well rested for these babies. But this has been a week of hibernation is how I've described it. So I had like some daytime meetings and then like ridiculously long naps after my daytime meetings. And I think it's because like the energy that everybody is putting out in the world is just such heavy energy. And I've been needing to like recover from that. But then being able to stay up all night, which is my happy time. And get work done, work on stuff around the house. But just like kind of focus on centering and grounding and solitude, which is how I restore. And then I end up sleeping for like 1 or 2 hours before my meetings and rinse and repeat. So it's been lots of resting and trying to buffer myself from all of the weird energy that's in the world right now is how my week has been.
I love this. I celebrate hibernation. I celebrate listening to your body and getting the rest you need. And like the red lip in the bed is a whole vibe. So I appreciate that as well. Can we also talk about the bun situation and how cute your hair is looking? So cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
So cute.
Eb and I did go out last Friday after
Okay.
our Red Lip Alchemy, and
Yes.
apparently I am like a magnet for white women.
Yes. The goddess initiation didn't speak about what attraction, the law of attraction for uh 40 to 5 plus white women to get
Mhm.
after in the multitudes. This is
Listen,
this is no
any sugar
exaggeration.
mama possibilities.
This is what I was trying to do the coaching for, but she wasn't trying to hear
You
me.
not receiving it?
I was like, not getting
I'm
my
here for
Audre
the sugar
Lorde on
mama
today.
options.
I'm not getting my Audre Lorde. These white women are exhausting. I'm not ready for it. But
I
Ebony,
mean, it could be like reparations sugar mama,
mm,
not like, the mama without the sugar. They provide the sugar, but you don't give no sugar, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of sugar I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Right.
Ebony was trying to coach me on stroke the arm and then just a little squeeze.
Yeah. Listen, why does I won't say who because y'all know the order, but one of my children, that's a thing. And I'm like, how like who taught you this? Because they do it to me. And I'm like, this is a thing. And I want to know, but
I suspect I know which one it is.
you know exactly.
Why do I know too?
Yes,
You
of
know?
course. We all know who it is.
Yes.
Exactly. Because I'm like, where did you get this from? It's a thing.
All since birth, they've been doing things, and it's like, where did you get that from? And they're like,
Yes.
myself,
Exactly.
I got it
Like
from
this
me.
one has been here multiple times before. I mean, I say that about multiple of my kids, but like for real, I'm just like, this is a whole situation.
Mhm.
But yeah. So anyway, yes, I support leading in, but I also support your boundaries, Tiff, and you being like, this is not the time or the place.
That is not the goddess energy I'm calling on at this point in my life, but you never
Well,
know.
it's your goddess energy that's attracting them. These are more like, these are the folks who want to, allow them to pay tribute, to the goddess.
Mhm. Mhm.
She got pulled to the front of the stage.
Oh,
Let me tell you, pulled to the front of the
oh, here's
stage.
the thing, Tiff. I feel like maybe just a little tweak in the spell because you have had this fantasy about having a person on the stage pull you up and like serenading you and all of this. So it's like you're getting closer and closer. You just need to tweak.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
We
okay.
we're gonna work on that for our February our March outing
Because we're doing
because we tried it with Raheem Devon and it didn't work, but we're
Okay.
gonna slowly
There will
make
be
our way
many,
there.
many
I
opportunities.
wasn't calling forth all my goddess energy at that time though. So
Mm,
We're calling forth on your protection from COVID energy.
and I was
mm.
definitely
Listen,
calling on that energy. Yes. Yes. Which one of the thousand of variants was that? I don't even remember which variant it was, but yeah, all of that. But yeah, we have a redo coming up. I'm excited. I learned important lessons about hanging out. Um,
Lessons learned.
lessons learned. And you know what? Like the biggest lesson though was I knew things were gonna unfold the way they unfolded, and I listened to other people instead of following my intuition. And so I was like, this is exactly what I anticipated was gonna happen. So
Lock your own tea.
yes, yes. And so how do I like, honor that and not let other people convince me otherwise, from the things that I know. And so yeah, so it was helpful information and looking forward to a redo in a couple weeks. So
I
mhm.
love that because I love that you could recognize the lesson in the moment of like, yeah, this is an instance where I knew better and I didn't do better, or I let somebody else convince me otherwise, but the stakes were still relatively low.
Exactly.
But it was still like they were high enough for you to be whatever about it, but like low enough that like it was lowish stakes. But then it's like it's just a recognition of like, okay, I actually knew this was gonna unfold the way it did. And it
Mhm.
did. And so now moving forward, it's like a recalibration mechanism for moving forward where, the stakes could be higher, but it's like, nope, I know how this is going to go down. Let me just trust myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that. Yes, like very low stakes. It's not, it wasn't like friendships were not ruined over it, like fights
Yay.
had over it, but it was like these little things. And I think that, I've had these lessons over time. Like I have like an intuition, and then like sometimes people are like, girl, no, it's gonna be fine. And I need to just trust my intuition and not let people dismiss it, and not dismiss it for myself. And so yeah, so good lessons, as you said, low stakes, which is helpful. And I think those low stakes ones are helpful for me to calibrate over time so that when the stakes are big, I can know, I can recognize it, and I can trust it, and I can follow it. So
I love that. The moral of the story is always trust your intuition. I always say I never regret trusting my intuition, no matter how ridiculous it seems like the thing my intuition is telling me to do. But I 100% of the time regret pushing override on my intuition. Like I've never regretted like letting it steer me in the right direction. But whenever I'm like, but it looks this way, even though my intuition is like when I go with what I look instead of what I see, instead of what I know, I always regret not trusting it. So yeah. Yeah. How about you? How about you, Ebony? How was your week this week?
Week was more stressful than it needed to be. But as I was listening to Tiffany, I was also doing my own reflection of what was my lesson. And I think my lesson was don't say yes when you really don't mean it. Um, don't do that to yourself. And I usually don't, but I think because the week has been so full of like so heavy and there's just so much going on that like I'm not as grounded as I have been the last couple of weeks. And so then I'm saying yes or agreeing to something that I didn't really agree to or want to do. And then I'm resentful and angry and it should be in myself, not the people I said yes to. So yeah.
Listen, these are all whole words to get your whole life this week. Trust the intuition. Don't the sacred, I call it the sacred yes and the sacred no. Like if it's not an enthusiastic yes, then it's a no. And then remember, like I have agency to say yes or no to this thing. I knew I didn't want to do it. And so, and then the resentment that comes with like you saying yes to something you didn't want to do. But we do it all the time. So I appreciate you naming that as well, because that is a powerful reminder to like the short-term discomfort of a no in the moment is better than the long-term discomfort and resentment of a yes that was not an enthusiastic yes.
Yes. What about you, Professor K?
Oh my goodness. I have had a fabulous and amazing week. So first of all, this whole situation, the alchemy is alchemizing. Okay. So there have been things that I have been putting off for the longest time that like, things like setting up the altar or being attentive to the altar. It's like, okay, but the rest of the stuff can't be out of order. And I just have this one thing in order. I mean, it could be, but it's like it prompted me to just take care of other things that I've been meaning to take care of just in terms of like decluttering the house and like bringing the oasis back to the Oshun's Oasis that I named this house. And so I've just been getting stuff in order. And it's like, okay, what's the order of priority? Like, what's the next best thing to do that will help with the other thing? So, like, one really simple thing that I've been putting off is putting up these metal shelves in my kitchen for organizing. And so it's like, I bought the shelves months ago, I assembled the shelves weeks ago, but they were still just sitting on my dining room table instead of on the wall. And part of what was holding me back, it was like I was scared of putting them up crooked and like was imagining like dishes falling to the floor, right? Like imagining the worst case. It's not even glass stuff on here. It's like for my pots actually. But that was the thing that was holding me back of this, like I might do it wrong, so I'm gonna avoid doing it until whatever. But all of this getting the house in order, it's like, okay, well, if those shelves are up, then that means these things can go there, and that opens up this other space for this other stuff, right? So it was a nice, good snowball effect. So I put the shelves up. It brought me so much joy. Like when I tell you these metal shelves in my kitchen, every day I took pictures. I sent my kids the pictures. I sent Tiff the pictures. I sent our mom the pictures. I sent my friends the pictures. I'm like, look at my metal shelves. Don't they look so cute?
Drop the metal shelves in the chat.
I will drop the metal shelves in the chat. And so that was that.
You put pictures in the chat? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I can send it to
I
our
meant our
chat.
chat.
Oh,
Yeah,
the other
the
chat.
phone
Okay.
chat.
Yeah, our phone chat.
This Ebony and Tiff. Okay. I'm just accustomed to texting y'all together, even though Tiffany has already seen these pictures.
She'll see him again. She'll be all right.
So that was super exciting in terms of like just getting that. And then that just like helped me start to get other things together. So I had these, so in my Pennsylvania house, I had this altar. I had like 2019 for me was the year of the yoni. So I like had all this yoni artwork and stuff. But in the move, I hadn't unpacked it. So I've been calling it unboxing the yoni because like I had so many powerful yoni energy things that were like in this box. And I unpacked them and I like immediately felt the shift in the energy of like celebrating the yoni energy again. And so like I put up another
my yoni for years.
yeah, you've been needing to unbox yours for years. But yeah, so it's been good. So I got another bookshelf in my room that I'm basically using for an altar, which means like my other altar, it went back. It had like more depth to it, but that meant I couldn't see everything in it because it was further back. So now with something that is more like vertical instead of horizontal, it means I like have a better visual of everything that's on there. So I got that set up this week. So that has been amazing in terms of like just getting the house in order and starting to get the altars together. In terms of my work with like liability writers, so we do like daily writing, and then I do weekly planning with them on Sundays. So we had this amazing session on Sunday where one of the members was just sharing just the story about like her ancestors and her grandmother and things like that. And it was such a powerful story of like her relationship with her grandmother and ancestral veneration and the ways in which like, you know, our ancestors pour into us and trust us with things and all of that kind of stuff. So it was like when like I was literally crying. I mean, of course, like me and Tiff are the Cancer sun signs, so it don't take much for us to be crying. But like I was like really broke up when I was seeing like just how powerful this connection was and like what was happening with her. And so it was just for me a reminder of like I'm exactly where I need to be doing exactly what I need to be doing to be able to like hold space and encourage her because she was in this place of like kind of like this might sound off and it's like girl no like we are right here with you, we support you. So that was like a beautiful moment to like kick off the week. And then there was so the first Black woman president of Spelman was Janetta B. Cole, and so she came and did like a conversation with another Spelman alum yesterday. So I went to that yesterday, and that was super powerful for many reasons that I won't get into all the details of, but just a reminder of like we have blueprints for how to not just survive, but and I won't say just survive because I don't think survival is a minor or mundane thing, but survive as well as thrive. And we've been doing it, like we've been doing it generation after generation. And so, of course, I would love for people to read books because I'm a reader of books and a lover of books. But I'm like, even if you're not reading books, like talk to your elders in the community because, like, everybody has some entrepreneurial spirit in their family. It might not have been like, you know, an insurance company or whatever, but somebody was running numbers, somebody was doing something. And so like talk to the people in your community to figure out like what were the things they did to come together to support each other when they knew they could not depend on this external support. So I got some really good reminders of that. And then the last thing I'll say is today I went to lunch with another Spelman sister and she went to like bless the food. First of all, I realized my manners have deteriorated over time because I didn't even think about like I'm like everything I touch is blessed. The food is blessed because I'm eating it, and I'm blessed because you know. So I kind of be so I'm not like formal with that. And I think part of it is also like my rejection of the Black church version of that. But I'm like, okay, that's not the only version of it. So she says the blessing over the meal. And she's like, you know, I'm open-ended. So she was like, not, you know, it was just like, you know, most high, the divine, you know, that kind of stuff. So she ended it. So I was like, well, I'm in an ashe. And let me tell you, when I said ashe, she was like, okay, we're good, right? Like if I had been like, in Jesus' name, I think she'd have been like, okay, I know where we are. But when I said Ashe, she was like, okay, sis, let's get into it. Like, so that we just had a whole conversation about, you know, just different spiritual practices and like some communities that she's connected to here. So I'm going to like connect with them. So this is also the trust your intuition thing. It's like I've been really intentional about like reaching out to different people to meet, to cultivate, you know, and it's like you meet people, sometimes you vibe with them, sometimes you don't, or you're like, okay, I know I can hang out with them in this capacity, but maybe not in that capacity. But this was definitely somebody that I'm like, oh, I could, because some people are like literally still wearing their pearls for them to clutch if they heard about, say, Professor K, right? Which I'm still happy to talk about, but there would be pearl clutching. And other people are like, girl, tell me more, right? Like, so this is a girl, tell me more person. So that was good. So I think I'm just still on the high of that really good lunch meeting today. Yep. So that's my week. Okay. Anything else before we? Oh, Ebony, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, I love that. Just even the way you're speaking about it is giving me life. So
Oh,
it makes me excited, and then I'm also thinking about our homework, and it sounds like you had the goal of doing the YouTube, and it sounds like you did that, and you were able to, or not yet. Oh no, okay, just
I didn't
kidding.
record the YouTube. I wrote down
Okay,
some stuff for what I'm supposed to do on YouTube,
okay,
which I haven't actually done yet. But
step at
I
a
will do
time.
that this weekend. Yes.
By Black History Month, we
the week is not over. The
the
week is
week is not
It's not
over.
over. Today is the last day of the month, so I might hop on and record tonight just to stay with the this month thing. But yeah, it feels like every time I was about to sit down and do it, I needed to switch gears to do something else. But thank you for bringing that back to the reminder of like this was the intention for the week. So I took care of a lot of other intentions, but I still and it was on my mind again. I wrote down my things that I need to do, but I didn't actually record them yet.
No,
Okay.
wanted to say before you jumped in, as you were talking about the Sunday call and grandmothers and ancestors, it reminded me today is the OG Catherine
Today
Bell's
is, yes, it's
birthday.
our maternal grandmother's birthday today, the original Catherine Bell. Yes, so I definitely was thinking about that today and had that energy with me today for sure.
Yep.
For sure. Okay, so this week we had, so I did the general, like, did y'all read the Temple of the Ancestors, your soul, soil energy channel, and the goddess? You did both of them. Okay. So let's get into it. So the first,
All overachievers. So I was gonna send a text to see, and I was like, everybody overachievers. Everybody's gonna read the intro and the goddess. So I'm
right.
not
I
sure.
Well, and
almost
that's what
sent
we
a
did the
text
first
too.
time.
Yep.
I was like, oh, because at first I just read the intro, and then I was like, oh, but the first time we read the intro and the first chapter, so I was like, we gonna do that again. Yeah, okay, just
Yeah.
checking in. Would have been
Mhm.
no, it would have been fine if we didn't do both of those. So,
Mhm.
so I think we talked about maybe the first week when we were looking at how it's set up. There is a nice connection that she draws with like the different like elements and things like that, as well as like the chakras. And so this is like basically the root chakra if you're looking at like the chakra system. But so she's talking about what she calls the soil energy channel. And she describes this as like the temple of the ancestors. So she's getting into like the ancestral veneration. She's looking at like and I like that it is African diasporic. So she looks at different traditions across the continent. So she names like Igbo traditions, Yoruba traditions, Igun, Ashanti, Egyptians, and others. Um, and then she gets into like what's your soil energy channel, and again like the root chakra stuff, like connecting to your power, your sense of safety, all of that kind of stuff. So what were some things that stood out to you guys in this description of this soil energy channel?
Well, I love the chakras, and so I loved being able to take kind of this Afrocentric approach to the chakras. The root chakra has been one that I have historically struggled with, right? In terms of like feeling grounded, feeling safe. And so like I am somebody who tends to have like more of a hypervigilance than a sense of safety, and even just like trusting that your needs are taken care of. So I was doing a lot of just reflection around that on what are my needs now today as 42-year-old Tiffany, but also thinking about what some of the root causes are. So back into childhood, what were some of those like core needs that I felt were not met, and what can I do today to kind of help meet those needs of my inner child. So I thought that this was helpful for me. I also was reflecting on when I first got here, Professor K, when you came out for that Buddhist retreat. Um, and I remember feeling grounded like for the first time, like ever. And so I have a tendency where when I'm sitting, I like to like kind of kick my feet up, put my feet up on something, but it was the first time where like my feet were being like drawn to the ground and I didn't want to put them up. Like I wanted them on the ground and I felt like connected to the ground. And so I was just reflecting on that and what I need to do to kind of get back to that space again when I feel grounded, and how it's just like with all the fuckery going on in the world right now, that these grounding practices are just even more important. So yeah, I like that intro even before we got into the goddess. One of the things, I'm just looking at my notes, and one of the things that resonated to me in the text was no more watering yourself down to make other people feel safe, no more not living up to your own dreams and your full magic. So those were things that really resonated with me in this week's reading.
I love chakras. I love being able to, scan my body and see where I'm not in alignment. And one of my favorite chakras is the root chakra because it's foundational, and it's really connected to trust. And I think because I had such a solid upbringing with my family, and having so much trust there that I feel very passionate about making sure other people feel that level of trust and love. So I love being able to do some reflections around this, but also still recognize where I have opportunities for growth. And that's just because what was modeled to me was a lot of love and connection, but also, my family still were coming out of poverty, and a lot of their actions were rooted in also fear. So the love was there, but how they responded to community and things were rooted in the ability to be able to survive day to day. And so that was passed along to me, in one of those areas that I'm continuously working on, how I can, uproot that cycle of not leaning into scarcity or fear because I could fail, and then I'll lose my house, and then I'll lose my and then that we tend to do in our heads. And so I have a reminder in my living space of a book by Alice Walker that's called Absolute Trust in the Goodness of the Earth. And so every time I walk past it, I touch it, because it's my reminder to continue to trust in the goodness of the earth, even a week like this, or the year of February, or the year of January, continues to keep coming at us hot. And so just, holding space for myself, but also those around me that, really are scared. So
That is beautiful. I love you sharing the love and the household, because I think so often there, and of course, both are, people have a wide range of experiences, but I think oftentimes we hear about the traumas and the dramas more than the like, oh, this was a space that was filled with love for me. And I try to share that love with other people. So I really appreciate you sharing that, even as you're reflecting on like, these are the practices I have to remind myself of, like, I am safe and all is well and all of that kind of stuff. So that is beautiful. And I appreciate you too, Tiff, sharing the Buddhist retreat that we went to, which was like a blackity black Buddhist retreat, for the record. So like Angela Davis was there, and I think maybe Jan Willis was there, or Wills was there, and
Llama
some
Rod,
other
y'all
like
favorite llama.
Amarad. Yeah, that's the one you were like, that's my guru. Amarad is my guru.
mine
And
too.
and then and Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams was also there, and a bunch of other people, but those are some probably of the better or more well-known kind of Black folks in the Buddhist tradition who were there. So yeah, that was a really beautiful experience as well. Yeah, I love it. Root chakra, I feel pretty good with root chakra stuff. I think that's also, like we were saying earlier, like me kind of getting a house in order with some of that as well. But I definitely do feel a sense of safety here. Like more and more I trust myself, I trust my intuition, and I trust like my spirit guides that, like, if something goes down, I'm gonna know when and how to move to deal with that. And so I found myself in the space this week of like holding space for other people and encouraging other people with like I sent out an email earlier in the week, looking at some of the things that like Toni Morrison and Audre Lorde have written about the power and importance of writing and our voice, especially in times of turmoil and things like that. So I sent it out as a point of encouragement. And then I just sent out like some centering and grounding practices, like connecting to your body and connecting to your breath and connecting to the earth and journaling and writing and, energy work and other kinds of things where you can feel like more centered and more grounded and more anchored when it feels like things are like kind of swirling all around you. So I'm happy, like again, going back to I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to be doing. Like I have so much gratitude that I am not in the academy right now, dealing with the energy that would be like, the faculty spiraling and the students spiraling and the administrator spiraling around like everything that comes out. And so it's just like, okay, I can hold space for the people who are like in a high heightened place of fear right now because they're like in the thick of it. And whereas I'm like, I'm so glad I listened to the ancestors who told me to not just get out, but get out now, like in 2023. And it means like I'm in a space where I can hold space for that because I'm not navigating and negotiating it in the same way. So that's been I've had gratitude for that this week as well. Yeah. Okay, anything else from the just the kind of general introduction around the Temple of the Ancestors and the Soil Energy Channel? I also like the quote, I am in sacred alignment, because alignment is one of my keywords. That is something else that kind of is a filter for me, right? Like, does this feel aligned or does this feel not aligned? And paying attention when things feel off of alignment or out of alignment. Um, oh, I do have a note here though. I have an issue with, like, I get it, but also, can we nuance this? The I am my ancestors' wildest dream thing, because I think there's a way in which we imagine our ancestors only go back to the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism, and we have ancestors that extend beyond that, right? And so, yeah, we're some of our ancestors' wildest dreams, and others of our ancestors are like, "Girl, get it together. Like we had X, Y, and Z, so come on with the come on, right? Whether it's material wise or spiritual wise." So I do want to, I mean, I don't think she's necessarily doing this, but I just had a note, like, I really want to keep in mind that all of our ancestors were not brutalized and oppressed. Our ancestral lineage predates slavery and colonialism. Yes, we acknowledge that as part of our history, but it is neither the beginning nor the end of our histories and legacies. Okay. Okay. Are we ready to go to the chapter with Sawtche is one of the names that's given, but this is also, I think, who's more commonly known as like Sarah Baartman or Sarji Baartman of South Africa. So this is somebody whose story I've written about, some of it is in the Beauvoir book, and I've written about it in other places. So it was nice to see her celebrated and venerated as a goddess in this space. So I appreciated seeing her here. But what were some things that stood out to you guys? And
As a scholar of Sarah Baartman, do you want to give like a quick overview of who she was for people who might not know about her?
so she definitely gets into some of the story here, but she was from South Africa, and it's like she kind of passes hands, right? Or kind of owners, right? Which is a terrible way to frame it, but because you can't actually own a person, but the way things were set up, like, so she's taken to like London and put on display is basically like a human animal, like at a petting zoo, right? And so so she's in London for a while, and then she's in Paris for a while. But basically, like, sexually assaulted and brutalized. They could touch her genitals, they could touch her butt. There was this obsession with the size of her genitals and the size of her butt. So, a lot of what happens, or the discussion in popular culture and hip hop around like the big booty and all of this kind of stuff, a lot of times, like Black feminist scholars will trace that to the kind of objectification of the butt of Sarah Baartman, or even how that then gets appropriated by white folks who get the booty things and want to, so, and then when the white people do it, then suddenly it's good and desirable and all of that kind of stuff. So she was somebody who kind of represented this, was a symbol of the kind of hypersexualization of Black women, the sexual availability of Black women, being able to just access Black women, without consent and things like that, even up to and including her death. So like they still, even after she died, they kept her genitals like pickled and on display in other parts of her body. And so it wasn't until Nelson Mandela was elected president in South Africa that he was able to recover the parts of her body that had still been colonized and held in Paris, so that she could receive like a proper homecoming and a proper burial. But yeah, a lot of the kind of Jezebel image that like Patricia Hill Collins talks about in terms of like a controlling image of Black women, Sarah Baartman is like one of the people that is a major example of that, like internationally, for this hypersexualization of Black women and the kind of projection of sexuality onto body parts that has nothing to do with actual behavior. And I think what ends up happening with Black women oftentimes is we've over course corrected for that, right? Like this idea of like, if I button up, if I cover up, if I act respectable, if I do all of these things, then I won't be attacked in this particular kind of way, when it was never about the hypersexualization. I mean, it was never about Black girls and women's hypersexuality. It was always about the predatory behaviors of the men around them. But I think there is still a legacy of that we contend with, in terms of this assumption that you have to, cover up and be respectful and be, you know, just everything covered up. And I see it even now, like with my youngest in school, like they have all of these dress codes that are very targeted toward femme bodies in a way that they're not toward, you know, other bodies. And I think that is also still like a legacy of that, where there's not a conversation around respect people's bodily autonomy. The conversation is you can't wear a spaghetti strap shirt, you know, or you can't wear shorts or a skirt that's however many inches above your knee or whatever the case may be. So I think that's still part of that legacy as well.
Yeah, this one was interesting to me because I loved the portrayal of her as a goddess, right? Because that is not how I had, you know, like viewed her before. And so I love this like reclaiming her as one of our goddesses. I was also surprised to see her um to be associated with kind of the root chakra system. And so it was helpful to think about you know, some of the quotes that I put are, you know, we are daughters of unspeakable crime, but we are also daughters of unbridled joy, and we were promised a better life and we claim it. And so thinking about the work that Nelson Mandela did do in order to be able to reclaim literally her body and to bring her back home so that she could be centered and grounded, and gratitude for that. And I think that it was helpful for me to look at that also as someone who tends to lean more into the goddesses and to my female ancestors, but having gratitude for Nelson Mandela as one of the male ancestors who like did the work of giving her the respect that she deserved, I think was also powerful for me because there are so many like negative representations of, you know, Black men towards Black women in our community. So seeing the ways that he showed up for her and helped her to be grounded was really powerful for me to remember because, you know, we had a sister research trip to Paris where we were exploring the Hottentot Venus in Paris together. And so it's also, I'm like, oh wow, like all of these things that we're reading this week are helping me like think about so many great trips that we've had together and how we've been doing this work for a while. And so coming back to it in a more formal way has been fun to do too.
I love that so much. It also reminded me of our research trip to Paris, which we always put in quotes. Of course, all my trips are research trips and business trips for the record. We just happen to do research and do business in fabulous and amazing places. And so we went after her remains were, so she was literally like on display in a museum still in Paris. And so we went and, but it was after everything had been sent back, but there were still these kind of miniature statue representations that were in there that we, I'm sure, have pictures of from our research trip because we documented well the research that was done. And I should have brought them over. I'll bring them over so that we can get them on the recording before I sign off because I have a couple of books on Sarah Baartman, but one is actually Natasha Gordon Chippenberry, who Tiffany and I know has a Sarah Baartman book, and then you actually there was a play on her that you just got a book of that I got from you when I was just there for Christmas. And I didn't get a chance to see that play, but I remember it happening, so I'm glad I can read it because I didn't get a chance to see it in person. And then thinking about what you were just saying about like the Black male ancestors and the work that some of them have done that we don't often hear about or acknowledge. I'm also thinking about, like, again, this is connecting back to Janetta B. Cole and then like Beverly Guy Shefdahl, who's still a professor at Spelman. They were really intentional about trying to celebrate like Black feminist men, or what Joy James would call like pro-feminist men. So they edited a collection. So it's Beverly Guy Shefdahl, Janetta B. Cole, and a man named Robert Byrd, who since passed away, called Traps, which is an edited collection of pro-feminist Black men like Frederick Douglass and some other people. So I'll bring that book over too for people who are interested in like you know, the assumption is like, well, at this time, this was just the thinking at the time. And it's just like, well, no, somebody like Frederick Douglass, although there's some critiques that could be made there, he was both abolitionist and a suffragist in terms of like not just Black men getting the right to vote, but women getting the right to vote and other kinds of things. So he was like super supportive of people like Ida B. Wells. We could talk about his choices in terms of marriage and other things, but there are some good. He has some good speeches and essays around, you know, women's rights. So yeah. Ebony, did you have any thoughts?
No, not a whole lot. Y'all really appreciated all the additional history you shared, Professor K.
Literally bringing
I
the professor today.
I'm always struck by whenever I read this story, but I think there were some details that I was reading in this chapter that, oh, she's changing her glasses. There we go. There we go. And that I didn't know. Like there was information that I was like, oh wow. And so I took a moment to just like be with her. And I think somewhere, I don't see it now, but oh yeah, look, now I say I don't see it and I look right down and I see it. But her colors were green and gold. And when I was reading about her earlier this week, I had on a very bright yellow gold colored shirt with green, the sawubona on it. And so I just thought, oh my goodness. And then I just needed to hold space and just be with her and appreciate her and just give a lot of gratitude for how she can continue to guide me on my journey. But I was very struck by the fact that she was listed in here as a goddess and grateful for that, because when I think of her, I think of sadness. And so this was an opportunity to also find celebration and honoring of everything that she is. So
Okay, I just put on a Professor K glasses because y'all were saying I was bringing a professor energy. But yeah, so I love what both of y'all are saying. Like, yes to celebrating her as a goddess, but yes to the choice to put her in the place of the root chakra, where we probably are more associating with the like the lack of safety and the lack of all of these things. And so I'm sure very deliberate and intentional choice to put her in this particular place.
yeah,
So
because my
yes,
original thought was like, oh, I would think this would be the sacral chakra, right?
mm,
Like that was my right, but
mm,
just how disrupted she was at the beginning of her journey, and the lies that that she was told, right? That goes back to trust, right?
yes,
And
she
so
was not with trustworthy people. Mm-mm.
right, it definitely connects to the root chakra. So
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
I also one of the other thing that stood out for me in the reading was they were talking about I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but the Poison healers, who were founders of what's been rebranded as shaking medicine.
Mm,
I'm all
yeah,
about that, right? In my Zen Zebra room, and
yes.
some ways in which you can like shake off, but the power to heal the body and align with an ecstatic state through tremors and shaking. And so I had never heard about these Kosen healers. And so I'm like, oh, this is on my to-do list to read more about them, to learn about like healing through shaking, which is something that I've been doing, but never knew of this like sacred ancestral connection that they're actually, but of course, right, there is nothing new,
Of
right?
course.
We
Yeah.
are the originators of all things. And so so I really liked reading about that. But yeah, I definitely agree with you, Ebony. I had always seen her as a victim, right? And so what are some of the ways in which we see ourselves as victims, and how do we reclaim that story, and get to a place of being grounded and safe? So yeah, so this was really a powerful read this week.
Yeah, very powerful.
I definitely thought about you and your Zen Zebra room when I read about the Shakers.
Same.
And what I love about that too is like the ancestral connection, right? Like, however we get to it, it's like there's something in you that knew that this was a thing for you to practice, right? Even if it was seeing a video with some antelope or zebras or somebody else, it was like whatever the thing was, your ancestors got it to you so that you could tap into that practice as an option. So I love that as well. But I definitely thought about you in your Zen Zebra room when I read that. Okay, anything else on this particular goddess before? Oh, I like the tortoise shell too, because I love like one of my spirit animals is the turtle, and one of my yoni artworks. This is like what Tiffany's always talking about, like literally, well, two things. One thing that Tiffany always talks about, and then something I always talk about. Tiffany always says like, one of the things she likes about platforms, like, are we naming platforms without sponsorship? Well, there's a particular platform, artsy platform, I'll say, that Tiffany goes on, where you can literally plug in your keywords like zebras doing yoga. And there is somebody out there making zebras doing yoga. So like Tiffany loves that there are people making the thing that she wants, no matter how quote unquote ridiculous it may seem. I love that there is somebody who was like, you know what I want to do? I want to make zebras doing yoga. And like trusted that that desire to do that thing would connect with somebody who wants to buy that thing so that they can like support themselves doing the thing that they love. So I'm like, you literally can do anything that you want. And it's just like one of the things I've been meditating on is, and this was like from one of the coaches I've been working with is like, what if the thing that you do with the most ease is the thing that can actually make you the most money, right? Like instead of thinking that everything has to be grinding it out and doing, it's like the thing, and I've been thinking about this in terms of like our calling and our purpose. Like sometimes I think we think the calling and the purpose has to be like this heavy, like arduous, burdensome thing. And I'm like, well, if it's that heavy, it's probably not the purpose and the calling, right? Like it's probably the thing that you actually enjoy the most that you would never think is possible to like monetize in a particular kind of way that is actually your thing. So that's what I love about like that there's a not only that there is a Tiffany in the world who wants to buy zebras that are doing yoga, that there is an artist in the world who wants to make zebras doing yoga, and that through divine connection, and internet platforms, they can come together. So I absolutely love that. Ebony, were you gonna say something? No,
No,
okay.
no.
But you got there
So
because you had a year of the yoni in
oh,
the
that's right. Okay, thank you so much. Listen, because I was like, how did I get there? Okay, so
down.
you're the yoni. So this is the thing that I looked for. I was looking for artwork. So my one of my spirit animals is the turtle. And I was doing this year of the yoni thing. So I was looking for all kinds of representations of the yoni and connecting to like the divine, like sensuality, sexuality, but also creativity, like the womb as as a creative space, not just for like birthing children, although I've done plenty of that, right? And so what I found was times four, yeah. But what I found was a piece of artwork that's like a turtle tortoise shell that's shaped like a yoni. So it's like a yoni within the turtle shell. So one of the things I like about the turtle is that it literally carries its home on its back. Like it is at home wherever it is. It moves at its own pace. Like there's a wisdom to it. There's like it represents the earth in some ways. So there's different symbolisms that I love about that. But I was like, there is an artist in the world who was like, turtle and yoni. Yeah. And there was a person in the world who was like, turtle and yoni. Yes. And we were magically connected so that I could get this original artwork from my year of the yoni, which is now like lifetime of the yoni. But like that started in 2019. So all of that was the tortoise that when she talked about the tortoise shell being connected to this goddess, I also felt connected to that. The tortoiseshell necklace. Yeah. So that was it. That's the tweet.
Love it.
Okay, so what about so she talks about grounding practices. Were there any grounding practices that you guys hadn't tried or thought about before that were listed here, or things that you tried or that you've been doing? Like what stood out about the grounding practices?
Well, I will say I did not do my milk tree initiation this week.
I did not either because that was more work than I think it's going to take me some time because it's like you got to clean before you clean.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But
Oh.
it's something that I've been thinking about doing. And so this ties to when I had so I live in a neighborhood where there are lots of shenanigans out in these streets. And so I have unhoused people come onto my porch and try to unpack bags and move in. I've had unhoused neighbors who were injured, like bleed out on my stoop. I had an unhoused neighbor who thought his mother lived here and who, like was trying to get into my house because he thought this was his mother's house. And so at different times I had like the dead cat outside my house, but it's always all types of shenanigans in these midtown streets. And so at different times I've had like talks with the ancestors who were supposed to be protecting me, and they're like, listen, like they ain't never make it in your house, did they? Right? Like they broke into your garage, they break into the house. And so a reminder that like they are protecting me, right? And they're protecting inside of my house. But it has also been a calling for me for what do I need to do to consecrate and protect all of the boundaries of my house, including my porch and not just the inside, so that I can have more of this like kind of sense of safety and what do I need to do to protect myself. And so I've been like, that's been on my to-do list, and I still didn't make it to it this week. But that is something that I do need to get to sooner than later, for how do I like do some of these practices for just like cleansing and clearing the energy of that space and creating some sacred protection so that all of the boundaries of my home can feel safe. So that was just something I was reflecting on, and just another reminder, like, you need to do this. But then it was all the thoughts of like, you're supposed to do milk, and there's also lots of critters in Midtown Sacramento. So I'm like, if I put milk on my porch, is that gonna attract different things looking to eat milk? And so I gotta figure out what to
Really
do.
started overthinking that thing.
That's what I do.
Yes.
That's what I do, is overthink things. But yeah, so I need to get this done though. What about y'all?
I love Ebony immediately being like, so you overthink, you started overthinking it. And it's like, yes, yes, I did.
Yes, of course I did. So my grandmother actually used a mixture of milk and the other ingredients that were in there to do a lot of cleaning. So I've participated in this ritual before, but it's been some time because I have a house cleaner. And so earlier this week, I was like, should I give this to Rosa? And then I was like, no, Ebony, you need to make it yourself and do it yourself, right? Like, don't pass it around. But I have all the ingredients. I grow rosemary in my backyard. I have lemons. I have cinnamon sticks. I have all the things. They said choose any kind of milk. I love seeing that in there because historically I definitely use cow's milk, but being plant based, I don't have any cow's milk in the home. So I have everything together, but I haven't put it together to actually do it. And I really wanted to set some time so that I can clean and set intentions into all the different spaces, even with upstairs being carpeted. So I'm looking forward to actually doing it and connecting with my grandmother, who taught me that practice, and bring it back to life, and bring her into the space too.
I love that your grandma did this. Yeah, I love that.
I
Yeah,
love
I
that
thought
your
a lot
grandma.
about my grandparents in this
Mm.
because even when the under the soil, when she was talking about her grandfather and the gifts that he brought, and the ways they kind of figured things out. My grandfather was a farmer and grew his own grapes and grew his own gardens and used to make wine and sell it in the community. And so I remember as a kid sneaking in the kitchen, knowing where he was, brewing it and pouring myself a little taste, trying to figure out why is everybody talking about this wine? What's going on? And he would show me the process. And so I was like, yeah, it's time to make some reconnections and get back into that space.
I also love this family legacy, and I love that you have someone who cleans your house, because let's also celebrate delegating things that can be delegated, even if we choose to like, this is the thing that I want to do that is part of my process, but that doesn't mean I need to hand over you or take back over all of the things. So I definitely support that. But this is also part of what got. Oh, go ahead, Ebony.
No, no, I was just gonna say
Okay.
I'm gonna let her clean, and then I will follow up behind with the cleansing ritual.
That is
Not,
Yes.
not
yes.
yes,
Yes.
I will hit them corners and set them
Yes.
intentions.
Yes. I love this. I love the description of porches as rooms as well. So not just like thinking about not just the kind of inside of the house, but outside of the house as part of the house. I also love that. I love the description of the cleansing rituals. And it reminds me some of like, I also have this other book, Jambalaya, where she talks about a lot of the cleansing rituals. And the saying of cleanliness being next to godliness, I think is connected to those spiritual rituals that were part of cleansing practices. And one of the ways she talks about it is that, sometimes we had to hide our spiritual practices in the day-to-day domestic sphere because, you would be like it was criminalized, like some rituals were criminalized. And so it was like so the way that our ancestors were able to fold some of those practices into the day to day so that they were not as obvious to people, kind of outside of the system, was powerful. So this made me think about that as well. But this is also what got me back into the mode of like, okay, I gotta get the house in order to do it's like the physical and the metaphysical cleansing are connected. And so it's like clearing the space to clear the space. But then already energetically, as I've started, like I can feel the shift that's happening in the house. And this, like both this temple and the temple I reside in terms of my body, as well as the physical edifice that I'm in. So yeah, it's been really powerful. But yeah, I also didn't get to because I was like, okay, I still need to like get all the boxes off the floor so that I could actually get to the floor and the corners and everything else. So, but I'm making progress. I unpacked several boxes this week, and this was in part because of being able to prepare for the rituals. And I think this was last week where I was saying like I don't have any plants because I'm so exhausted from caring for humans that I don't really have the capacity to care for other things. But this actually inspired me to like, okay, maybe I'll go back to my baby step of like the herb garden, right? So like on my back patio, it's screened in and there is a ledge back there that I could probably grow some herbs on. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll look at what some of these medicinal herbs are that I would want to have on hand and just start growing some of those herbs. So that is something that is on my, in my consciousness, I'm setting an intention toward. And it's like my laundry washer and dryer are also there. So it's like I'm out there regularly enough that I could tend to an herbal garden. I'm not gonna tell my kids because they still shade me about the garden I started talking about starting several years ago. So I'm not even gonna mention it to them. I'm just gonna do it. And then I'm sure I will get some shady palm tree comments about it, like, oh, we're actually starting the garden now. But that's okay.
Mhm. I will say, I'm trying to level my gardening game up, and I have been, but there is something magical about like watching something transform from a seed like into like a full-on plant and then like just picking it and putting it right in your mouth or into your bowl. It feels so magical. So I've been enjoying it. It's become a nice, fun hobby for me.
I agree with that. I love, like, I came downstairs and I was like, "Oh, who picked 3 oranges from the garden? Let me partake in one of my homegrown oranges." It's just really great to just go outside and grab things. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make a cup of tea. Let me go out and grab a lemon. Oh, I'm gonna cook some a soy patty that Tiffany can't have, but I'm gonna add rosemary to it, and a few of the herbs that are growing pretty wildly in the backyard. And so it can be a really beautiful grounding practice because getting out there and just even getting my hands in the dirt. I know Tiff's not getting all her hands in the dirt but getting my hands in the dirt, like usually inside the house, if I see a bug, I'm running. They could be crawling all over me outside and I just don't care. It's like I'm in your house, so thank you for welcoming me and just don't bite me. So I enjoy it.
I'm gonna get
Listen,
there. I have, okay, so this is the thing. I live in Sacramento. Sacramento has a lot of rats. And I've made an agreement with them that like they could have the outside and I could have the inside. And they have not violated that boundary so far. So I'm just worried that if I go outside, that they're gonna be like, oh, we just you just going outside wherever you want. That means we can come inside. And so I just got to figure out a new agreement to have with them so that I don't have to see them and they not frolicking in my garden.
I agree 100% that it is magical in all the ways. And what I realized is I need having mothered for 23 years and still going. I needed to tend to this garden before I could tend to
And I
another.
say, mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that I've taken the time to tend to my garden to have even any energy to put into growing something else outside of my womb. So I've been putting all my maternal energy into that, not to mention my own inner child. So yeah, I definitely agree that it's magical. I do think there is something about the ground, like literally being in the dirt and in the ground. I think that is a very ground, like literally a grounding practice, right? And so like she even gives the example of like just putting your feet in the soil, bare feet in the soil. And I think I've gotten that more through like hiking and other kinds of things, like connecting to nature in that way, in a way that like nature is taking care of itself and I'm just like connecting to that energy as opposed to like me feeling responsible. But also that I think, or I know this is also me needing to process motherhood and maternal energy in a different kind of way that it's not only doesn't only feel extractive, right? And so that's something also that's powerful about the text is like there's a constant referring back to this maternal energy that's not always about kids per se, but it's just like I recognize like because motherhood has felt very extractive for me for a very long time. It's better now. Like I found some different nuance and balance again with following my pleasure and my peace and like recognizing that the universe really is taking care of everybody. I'm on camera. Auntie Tiff is on here. This is the youngest. So, oh, this is Ebony. This is Auntie's friend Ebony. We were at the
There. We're not saying your name, but
we're not saying your name. We're gonna respect your anonymity. They're in the kitchen now. Oh, what? What?
You must be very special, Ebony.
Because let me tell you who does not get on the camera. Listen, this one does not get on the camera, even because I do my writing groups on here too. And whenever I'm like, my camera's on, they do not pop their face in. So yeah, this is like a very special
They know
visit.
some goddess alchemy is happening right now.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So yeah, but I was saying like it's feeling less extractive now. And I think part of that is, and of course it's not even necessarily like, I mean, in some cases people are actively trying to extract from you, but in a lot of cases it's like going back to your point about saying yes to something that you don't actually want to say yes to. Like, I've performed it in a way that is exhausting for me, but I choose how I perform it. And so it's like I'm adjusting how I perform motherhood. And so as I shift my relationship to like how I show up in my mothering, then I think, there's less all of the other stuff that goes along with that. And I'm able to, and recognizing like, okay, I'm not going to not tend to this garden. Like now that I've tended to it, I'm not going to ever not tend to it again. Like, you reach a certain threshold where it's like, when you decide you're not doing anything anymore, like it could show up a 50, 11 different ways. And you're like, yeah, I know what that looks like. And it's a no for me. So I think I'm getting to that place with motherhood. So I cannot feel like I don't feel like I have to be as vigilant of like, is this something that's like exhausting and extractive for me? So yeah, I think we'll see how this unfolds as we go on with the weeks. But like I opened my mind to the possibility of an herbal garden on the back porch with my back screened in porch.
Well, as you open your mind to that, I do think an herbal garden as opposed to like just regular house plants, because the herbal garden is going to give to you, right? And so it is going to be more of a reciprocal, and if not, like they may give more to you than even you have to give to them, right? And so that may help to shift your view of like you having something reciprocated, where it's like, okay, I'm nurturing in this way, but then these plants are also nurturing and healing me in a different way, like physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So it may be quite healing and therapeutic for you.
I love this. I hadn't thought about it in this way. And of course, I recognize that house plants also give, right? Because they're cleaning the air and we're exchanging the oxygen and carbon, is it monoxide, dioxide? Which one? CO? Too. So I recognize that there is, and again, as with all plants on the earth, we certainly extract more and do more damage than we're giving out. But I do think there is something like it's a different kind of tangible receiving that's happening with the herbs, which I hadn't thought about, but I think that's a beautiful point. Yeah.
Even with the lavender, like, and I've had lavender outside before, but having it inside and just being able to walk past and, and just like touch it and like feel the oils, and, even if like the central air is on and it rustles the leaves, like you get that whiff of lavender, and it just gives like this instant like peace and gratification that, that my pathos don't give to me. But
Yeah, one more way that we will sell you on this.
I know everybody's like,
Right.
and this is what's good, and this is and these are the
Right,
benefits.
exactly.
No, I
Is
love it. I love the positive reinforcement. Go ahead.
You know, there's the little black tubing systems that they can just boop boop automatic turn them waters on, because I do not water my pomegranates, my oranges, my lemons, my rosemary. All of it is now just doing its thing. There's only, I mean, you know, I tend to the ones in the house, but outside is kind of like this, you know, really independent world that I get to go out there and just, you know, cut things back and say hello to them and talk to them, but not in the same way where I'm, you know, constantly needing to tend to it as much. And so that doesn't feel as extractive for me. And that's huge. I'm with you on the motherhood and how many things do I have to be responsible for in a day or in a week or however, or the year of January. So, you know, it can be really lovely to be able to go out there and have it love on you back too. Thank you for coming to our plant TED Talk.
I know, like people be like, we need to buy some plants and take care of some plants. Okay, I feel like that is basically it. Oh, I did also love the grounding things that she described. I've done morning pages for a while. So even like when she was talking about free write journaling every morning, I was like, yes, morning pages. And then she mentioned morning pages from the Artist Way after that. And I was like, I love this. I love the celebrate the power of choice in your life, because you know I'm the queen of good life choices. Sometimes I call myself the goddess of good life choices, because I'm like, I make good life choices and I enjoy the benefits of the good life choices I make. So I also love that. Again, the focus on agency, and then even again with the milk tree initiation, when she talked about the women of the community dancing around like this kind of ritual for girls experiencing puberty. And again, the mother-centered culture came up again there. So I'm like, okay, I see you. Like we're working through the maternal. We're working through it. Okay, any last thoughts or closing thoughts?
I just
Um,
express gratitude to both of you, because I think, you know, these are things that, you know, I know all of us individually and collectively, you know, have been working on, and life be life in sometimes, right? And so I think it's really great to have a space where it's like we're doing this every week. So it helps to create and carve out a practice where I'm being a lot more intentional about devoting time to these practices. So thank you guys for holding space and for doing this with me.
our
And thank you
pleasure.
for bringing the book into the space and yeah, naming like, hey, let's come together and do this. So yeah.
Yay. Well, it has been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure as always to connect with you guys, to see you guys. I'm glad everybody is doing well, even with some challenges that are coming up. And yeah, this is just beautiful. So yeah, again, the gratitude, expression of gratitude, and I'm looking forward to reconnecting next week.
Ebony's reminding us of cards. My cards are down,
Oh, thank you.
and
Yeah,
I would like to honor my sacred goddess by not getting out of my bed.
I
And
support
Pull for
that.
you as you pull for me.
thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Every about what
Thank
clothes gonna pull for me.
Ebony, thank you so much for the reminder about the cards, because I definitely was about to be like, okay, see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. I will go first, and there's already one popping out for Tiff.
All right.
Now y'all look, now I'm like making sure I got about 5 decks. This is the one we're using right now, right? Okay.
Goddess rising deck. Yes, yes.
Tiff, I pulled a set surrender. A
Mm,
set surrender 44.
okay. Write that down.
That is the goddess of spiritual surrender, the temple high priestesses, element bush. Goddess Aset is revered as a magical healer and sorceress. She of 10,000 names, you may know her as Isis, her Greek name, or Aset, or Waset. Aset was worshipped in ancient Nubia, the Sudan region, Egypt, and beyond. Let's all go. Let it all go. Say aloud, I surrender. These words cast a spell. Breathe them in.
Mhm.
Release control. Stop bonding around struggle. Hand the keys to the divine. Allow spirit to carry you and fill in the gaps. You don't have to figure it all out. Goddess has your back. Have faith in where you are at this moment. Your goddess declaration is everything I need to know finds me at the perfect time.
Hmm. Amen and Ashe. That is, these cards ain't done me wrong yet though. Like every pull like definitely resonates with what I need. So and I feel like maybe I already did a little bit surrender by turning over my poll to you this week. So
Mm. Not the check.
release control, let somebody pull your cards. Goddess ascended and risen.
All right. I'll pull for myself 8, which is Nagame desire. Let's see what they talking about. All right. The goddess of desire. The temple is conjurers. The element is air. Nagame is the triple moon goddess of the Ashanti. Every new day, this mother goddess rebirths the sun, shooting life into us with her moon bow. Her lunar rays illuminate souls. Dream bigger. Puny desires constrict you. Your desires create your life, so allow them to flow boldly. What do you really desire? Get specific. See it, smell it, feel it. Call it in now. What you desire desires you. Does your desire flow from love or fear? Manifestations that come from fear based desires keep you safe and small. Desires that come from your soul expand your world. Goddess declaration, what I desire desires me. Love it. Love it. Very, very timely, very on time.
Well, I love that because you were just reflecting on like how fears sometimes can drive like the way you move. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's perfect timing for you.
Yes, really
Mhm.
is.
I love both of these. I love the stop bonding with struggle, right? Like we hear about people talk about like trauma bonds and or struggle love and all of this other kind of stuff. So I love the like, listen, like I heard it as like don't make a bedfellow with, strife and struggle. Like quit cuddling up to it and like walk in your greatness. And I also love this with desire, what I desire desires me and not playing small and all the things. So those are both, I'm feeling both of those. Okay, I pulled number 43, Abul Nibia, Harvest.
Look at you pulling harvest when we talking about planting.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Goddess of Harvest, Baga Ganea, Temple, High Priestesses, Element Water. Abul is a Baga fertility goddess, and Namibia is her living spiritual healing mass. Together, they embody the sacred feminine and abundance. Guidance, give thanks, give thanks. You are being blessed. It's harvest time. Pray attention. I love that. Not pay attention, but pray attention. A season of great harvest is a season of great epiphanies. You are prospering. Embodiment. Harvest is when you reap the blessings that you have sown. The harvest is not just the fulfillment of your dreams, but the creation of them. Your thoughts, your imagination, the blessing of you being here another day on this earth, that is all harvest. What seeds of generosity, love, support, and goodwill can you sow in your community to create a bountiful harvest for all? Goddess declaration, we are always prospering. I love it. I love it. I'm thinking about this in terms of not just what we were talking about with like the herbs and the gardens and things like that, but again, connecting them all, right? Like, so how do we release like the bonding with struggle? How do we embrace the grandeur of our desires and what we want? Like that, like we don't want something for no reason. Like we want like any desires that we have, any pleasure that we seek, it's like divinely given for us to receive and achieve and experience it, right? And it's also a blessing to other people when we do and create the thing that we've been called to. Like a lot of what I've created is like, I know I need this, so somebody else in the world must need this. And so I build it for myself and then other people come. But I'm also thinking about like, again, going back to this talk that I went to last night. So Janetta B. Cole, her great grandfather started the second Black insurance company in the country. So the first one was started in North Carolina by like a Black family that borrowed money from the Duke family of Duke University. And her great grandfather started the second one. It's called like the Afro something insurance company in Florida. And so he created it because white people wouldn't insure Black people. And so it was like there was a need in the community. And so he met the need. And he ended up becoming like the first millionaire in Florida. He bought what's now called like Amelia, or then was called Amelia Island, and he named like the acreage that he bought American Beach. So the beaches were segregated. Black people couldn't go to white beaches. So he literally bought the beach so that Black folks could go to the beach. And the like motto for the beach was recreation and rejuvenation without humiliation, so that Black people could come and rest and play and be in a safe space to have what they needed. And so because he had this flourishing insurance company, like he hired a lot of women, there were a lot of agents. So like he literally created something that created abundance, not just for himself, but also for the community and for people to have access. So he built like a golf course, he built a country club, he built like a jazz club where like James Brown and all of these other people came. And so like that's what I was saying at the beginning, the reminder of like, and this was in 1901. Well, 1901 is when he started the insurance company. I think 1935 is when he bought the beach, which is still there, and has been preserved, even though like white folks are buying up some of the land there now. But it was just such a powerful reminder of like, there was a need in the community. He met the need in the community, and not only he, but the community prospered. And so that was just a powerful reminder for me. So this is like when I'm thinking about harvest, like this is also what's coming to mind.
I love all of this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, who's pulling a community card?
You want to pull it?
First of all, can we also talk about divine timing? Because we're still we still got 5 minutes to spare. What? Oh, this is interesting. The community card that got pulled was Aunt Nancy betrayal.
Ooh, there's a lot of betrayal of our community happening right now.
Listen,
What number is it?
it's number 20.
Okay.
And I will also say this is going, so two other things with the story that I was just telling. So his name was Abraham Lincoln Lewis. He was born in 1865 and literally named for Abraham Lincoln because of like the Emancipation Proclamation, but he always went by AL. But two challenges that came up, I'm sure there were others, but these were stories that were told last night. One is, as soon as he opened the office for the insurance company, within 2 months, there was arson and they burned down the office. So he had to rebuild the building. And then the other thing is, he built this mansion. He and another Black millionaire built a mansion, and the state claimed eminent domain that they had to build a highway right where their houses stood. So they destroyed the house. They never even built the highway, but claim, and so there's just such a history. So I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but not a tangent here. Like when we think about abundance, in the fear again, like I think a lot of times there is fear around building something that's of abundance because there are so many reminders of historically where we have built things up that have been taken from us, whether it was like Black Wall Street, well, the various Black Wall Streets that have existed, or like Central Park was once a Black community that eminent domain claimed and destroyed that Black community. One of the airports in DC was a Black community that said, eminent domain, we need to build this airport. Savannah, we did this Black History Tour in Savannah where they've also done that, like decided they had to build a highway right through a thriving Black community. But it's like, you still have to, like, you still, like, the harvest is still abundant. You can still build and reap harvest from things even when that stuff is going on. Okay, number 20, Aunt Nancy. Shadow of betrayal, diaspora Akan, temple shadows, element air. Anansi or Kwaku Anansi, the Akan trickster, god and sacred clown, snuck into our global folk tales, while Gullah Geechee children heard tales of Aunt Nancy, the tricky spider woman. My Guyanese parents entertained us with Nancy stories about a witty teen spider. Who really betrayed you? Betrayals from others mirrors you betraying yourself. Embodiment. Betrayal is a web that disrupts everything you thought you knew. Use discernment in your relationships. Betrayal makes it difficult to trust, but without trust, your relationships are a lie. Trust that no matter what happens and no matter how long it takes, you will survive and thrive. The real question, how have you betrayed or abandoned yourself? Goddess declaration. I am willing to know the truth.
That's a
Woo!
whole
A
word.
whole word.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with that one.
Okay.
We're not gonna go over.
I was gonna say,
Also, I love about this is that we're pulling these cards, right? But we're gonna do a deep, that'll be one of the goddesses for a whole week we're gonna sit with.
Right,
mhm.
right.
And so I think
I
these
got a book in Bryce's room, or well, my son's room. That's Anansi the spider and talks about this
Mhm.
betrayal. So it was interesting them calling it Aunt Nancy, because I know the story is Anansi, but yeah, I'm sorry, interrupt you, Tiff, but
how have we portrayed ourselves?
mm-hmm.
It's a whole word, but I am glad that I think these weekly card pulls are giving us a glimpse of what we need and what is to come. And I'm looking forward to like sitting with it for a week, but then also being able to do these deeper dives as we make our way through the entire book. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Let's come back. Let's maybe come back to this betrayal
mhm,
next week, just as we continue to process everything that's happening, but also our own personal betrayals and it being a
Mhm.
reflection of how we may have betrayed ourselves,
Yeah.
because that's a real thing too.
Mhm.
And it's also just very complex and how
Mhm.
we see it out of how we can see it out of these different lenses
Mhm.
um, as
Nancy
well.
is going to be in the Temple of Shadows. Um, there's going to be a whole thing on Nancy too. So we will
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
deeper
I
dive.
love it. I feel like we talked, I think
Mm,
part of what you were talking about earlier, again, with the like saying yes to something you don't want to say yes to is like a self-betrayal, right? And we
that's
do it
right.
often. And then I'll say quickly, and we can get into this more when we get to that chapter, but this was a major point of reflection for me in terms of like my marriage, things that happened before, during, and then my divorce process. It was like, okay, well, we can talk about people who've abandoned or violated or betrayed us, but like I had to sit with and process when and where and how did I abandon myself and how do I like reclaim that agency and that power. So yes to all of this.
But yeah, the shadow fear, people always disappoint you.
Mm,
Well, yeah, and then people it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
yep.
Mhm. And I
Mm.
think it's also connected to the intuition thing because when you trust your intuition, you know, and then but they're showing the whatever, and you want to believe what they're
Oh, the
showing
whole
you, and
direction.
it's just like, but you're intuitively, you know, yeah.
Mhm.
Woo!
Okay, y'all. Clock
Right.
party.
Clock, definitely clock.
Our tea. It was so good seeing y'all.
It's good to see you too. Until next week, continue to be fabulous goddesses, glowing up, red lip
Yeah,
alchemists, healers, healing, and all the things.
Yes, yes. All
love
right.
it.
Love y'all. Have a good rest of your day. I'm gonna go back to sleep with this red lip.
Yes, have some good rest before this shift tonight.
All right, ladies. Talk to you later.
Okay, love you
Bye.
guys.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.